Hey guys, Doug Childs here. It's Warriors
and Wildmen.
There you go.
What's happening, Doug?
I don't know, man. You have
I didn't know that was my cue.
Did you have a senior moment there?
No, you didn't say Rich. I was waiting for you to say my name.
All right, we'll do it again. But keep that other opening. Hey guys, it's Doug Giles here, and it's Warriors Rich
and Wildmen. That's what I was waiting for.
Now we're podcasting, baby. All right, so last time we left off, we were looking at Thomas Brooks exposing the device of Satan by presenting the world to us poor little dullards in such a dress, in such a garb to the soul as to ensnare our soul and to win the affection of our soul. What is Brooks talking about? Break it down for us. Speak in English to the uninitiated who are not familiar with the Puritan droll.
He's just trying to talk about the devil tries to present the world dressed up and looking good to get our affection and our attention. Initially, our attention,
and to get us off
our affection.
Yeah, and to get us off doing like he said in the opening salvo that we looked at last podcast we're talking about. He wants to get us away from holy duties. He wants to get us away from the Great Commission, discipling nations, preaching the Word of God, and coming in conflict, not physical conflict, but preaching that which will convert the masses. Instead,
right.
He doesn't take us away all the time into heroin or to pirate hookers or to the gross aspects of the world. If he can get you into something that is, seemingly innocent, and your heart goes away from the Great Commission, away from holy duties, away from kicking butt and helping, supporting your pastor and your church, then he got you. It doesn't matter how he got you. He got you.
Distraction,
right?
Baby. Distraction. He dresses up. You know what? One time I was in Mexico, more than once, but on this one particular occasion, I saw a horse pulling a buggy and it had the blinders on. You ever see that? The horses with the blinders? And I thought, man, that's what a woman needs to get down the street in Mexico. They need shopping blinders. You're trying to go to a breakfast place and you can't get there because all they see are the little shiny trinkets, but Christians are like that. They no blinders. They're distracted by all the shiny, glittery things of the world. They're distracted, and then they don't do the things that are most important. It's like, hey, it's all. I was preaching about this last weekend, Doug. Talking about family. Family is one of the foundations and pillars of our society. But what's the foundation of the family? The foundation of the family is not family. The foundation of the family is either going to be Christ and His Word, or it's going to be the world. It's going to be humanism, right? You don't get to say family is the most. No, there has to be a foundation of the family, and there are only two foundations. And so what people are doing is they're even focusing on good things and letting good things become a distraction of the God things.
Right. Yeah, and again, it doesn't matter how Satan distracts you as long as he distracts you. And a lot of things, again, are they sin on the surface? No. Can they become idols that you worship at the expense of worshiping and obeying God? You bet your ass they can be. And again, El Diablo, he don't care how he distracts you as long as you're distracted. So the first remedy that Brooks puts out is against this device of Satan to get us off from obeying God, get us off holy duties, get us off building the church in this dilapidated world. He said the best thing to do is just dwell on the impotency and the weakness of all the stuff that Satan parades us here below.
Yep. And we did that. We did that one. And then what was number two?
Yeah, number two, second remedy against Satan trying to distract us with just worldly crap is to dwell upon the vanity of them as well as the impotency of all worldly good. And we quoted Solomon out of his famous book Ecclesiastes, where at the end of his life, after he's been there and done that, he's got all the T-shirts that you can imagine. This rich cat that was which was endowed with incredible godly wisdom, who went astray following after other gods, even though he was so blessed as a human being. He said He said at the end of his life, man, you know what? All the stuff that I went after, all the stuff that I pursued, it's vanity. It's empty. It's stupid. And the bottom line is, fear God, keep His commandments. That's what old Solomon said. But what does he know, Rich? What does he know?
He's just the wisest man that ever lived, right?
No, the Christian on Instagram that's posting pictures of her ass, she knows way more than Solomon. So we come to the third remedy. Rich, hit me with number 3, buddy.
The third remedy against the device of Satan is so this is what we want to do to not be distracted, right? This is the third remedy, is to dwell much upon the uncertainty, the mutability, and inconstancy of all things under the sun. Man himself is but the dream of a dream, but the generation of imagination, but an empty vanity, but the curious picture of nothing, a poor, feeble, dying shadow. And so what he's talking about is that, hey, none of this stuff stays the same. Don't give it so much attention. Don't get focused on the fact, like he starts talking about fashion, starts talking about money, starts talking about the things that people want, but they can be gone in a second. And so we have to realize that those things are not eternal. They're not forever. Not just eternal, Doug, because people will trade in their eternity for happiness here. It's not just eternal. They're not guaranteed here.
Yeah, and I like how, and again, having money is not wrong unless money has you. It's not money's the root of all evil. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil. And I like Paul's injunction to Timothy in regards to, all the fancy stuff that's out there. He told Timothy, he said, listen, man, those guys that are under your charge, that are under your pastoral influence, tell the rich men not to be high-minded, not to be arrogant, and check this out, nor put their trust in uncertain riches. Rich, I know you have, I know I have had in my my brief 56 years, times of leanness and times of plenty. And when that plenty comes, man, it has the ability, again, to get you not into, hookers and drugs. It gets you into just stupid crap. And I'm not saying don't enjoy the world. I'm not a monk. I'm going to enjoy hunting. I'm going to enjoy fishing. I'm going to enjoy, 5-star meals, nice hotels. But you know what? I can stay at a Motel 6 and eat beans and rice and still kick ass and it not affect who I am as a human being, as a child of God, right, man. But it can, it can, if you get dazzled by it and you don't understand how you're being led astray. And again, it could not be in pornography and murder and and drug usage.
And that's what Brooks is saying here. He says, if we want to not be distracted, then we have to understand that honor and riches, he says, they jump from man to man the way a bird hops from a tree to a tree. It might not be that quick, in your eyes. A bird just goes like that, just from tree to tree. But I'll tell you what, when it changes from one to the other, it's quick. And that's how riches are. That's how honor is. And he says this, he said, let Job and Nebuchadnezzar testify this truth, who fell from great wealth to great want. No man can promise himself to be wealthy until the end of the day. One storm at sea, one coal of fire, one coal of fire, one false friend, one unadvised word, one false witness may make you a beggar and a prisoner all at once. One thing, think about that, Doug, the betrayal of one friend, one fire, one bout of bad luck, one thing in business. Your whole world can change in 1 second. So if you don't want to be distracted, know it, enjoy it while you got it, make it happen. There was one guy, Doug, I read about, man, I cannot remember his name, but he had given away a ton of money, right? He gave away a lot. And then it was like 2 years later, he lost his entire fortune. And someone said, I bet you wish you had that money that you gave to the church back. And you know what he said? I wish I would have gave him more. He said it would, and see that, but what an incredible mindset, right? That's the guy who's not going to be distracted. That guy's like, I'm not focused on my money. I'm bummed out. Man, I could have made my money count while I had it. I could have given away more. See, that's an incredible idea, but most people get it and they hold it and they think it's their happiness and they're like, man, I'm going to hold on to this money. Or honor. You're the man. Everybody's telling you you're the man. People get into that stuff. It's going to change in a moment, Doug, in a moment.
Yeah, I saw this girl. I think we actually did a report on her at ClashDaily.com. She had, I think, like 120,000 Instagram followers, and I don't know what she posted, but Zuckerberg and his guys, I think it was skin related. They said, you know what, you're done. You've posted too much TNA, so you're done. She was nearly suicidal. She goes, I'm nothing if I'm not an influencer. I had 120,000 people. Now I can't even talk to them, can't connect with them. Her whole world crumbled. Hey, Chica, I had 2 million followers and Zuckerberg took them away from me. Guess what? It was the greatest punt into the next chapter of my life. And I thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, very, very much. Check this out. Now rich, now poor. Now you're full, now you're empty. Now you've got favor and honor. Now you don't have favor and honor. You're honorable now. Now you're despised. Now health, now you're sick. Now strength, now weakness. The pomp of this world John compares to the moon, which increases and decreases. And so when Satan's serving you this plate, as John Bunyan put it, of worldly delights in Vanity Fair, understand, man, that stuff has an expiration date. And if you're not rooted and grounded in Christ, woo, man, you're going to be disappointed. And the greatest thing is that God could dry up your brook and bring you back to reality and bring you back to scratch and what life is really about, so that you could live a life of consequence and leave a legacy that you're not embarrassed about at the judgment seat.
Instead of being distracted by these stupid things. And Brooks writes in here, he says this, he said, it's like the man who dreams that he's eating and he wakes up hungry. Or the man who dreams that he's drinking and he wakes up thirsty. It's because this life compared to eternity is so small. It's just a breath, it's a mist, it's a vapor, and then it's gone. So we have to stop getting caught up in something that can be gone in a moment. It's just a dream compared to reality. I think it's such an incredible mindset. People get focused on the things of this world. They think they're forever. I think of athletes that come into these multi-million-dollar a year contracts and they start spending money like they're going to make that money forever. It's like
I think 70% of them, 3 years after they leave the NFL or the NBA, they're bankrupt.
Yep, the linebackers in the NFL, their longevity is typically a year and a half, but they think they're going to make that money every month the rest of their life, instead of saving it and planning. Not all of them, obviously, but a majority of them. But we live our lives like that. It's easy to look at them, Doug, but we live our lives like that with what we have.
Yeah, that's why.
And we start.
That's why Jesus said in Matthew 6, not to worry about what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear. Don't worry about cash. Don't worry about clothes. Don't worry about anything.
Yep.
He said, seek first the kingdom of God. Where moth and rust can't destroy, where all this stuff isn't transitory, that it's banked in heaven. I like, the chancellor of my seminary, Dr. D. James Kennedy, multimillionaire. You know what? Drove an old car, lived in a modest house. He didn't get a book and like, boom, man, I'm gonna get a Lambo, baby, and drive it around and
I mean, he didn't live in Scottsdale?
No, he didn't, or Aventura, Florida. And again, Moses said in Deuteronomy 8, said, listen, when you get into the promised land and you guys start eating the proceeds thereof, the milk and honey starts flowing for you. He said, you got to watch that your heart's not carried away. He said, listen, I love you, want to give you this stuff, but you know what? My name's Jehovah Kwana. I'm a jealous God, and you will be my people. I will be your God. You'll have these blessings, but if your heart departs from me while you're in tall cotton, then guess what? I'm your enemy. And you don't want God as an enemy. Forget Satan. We're like Satan's devices. Satan's getting you. Listen, if God puts his crosshairs on you, woof, man, there's crap all you can do about that one.
So the fourth remedy against this device of Satan is to seriously consider that the great things of this world are very hurtful and dangerous to the outward and inward man, through the corruptions that are in the hearts of men. And so what he's talking about here, this is amazing, is he's saying some of the things that we see as desirable, right? Those things are dangerous to us, to our outward person, but also to our inward man, to our heart, to our physical life here on earth, but also to our spiritual life. And the reason I think that's powerful is I just watched the movie Rocket Man about Elton John. And I'll tell you what, man, the guy, Doug, incredible statistic. At one time, he was selling 5% of all of the music sales in the world. That's insanity. When I saw that, I was like, are you kidding me? Dude, that guy was a car accident. His whole life was miserable. I would not trade what that dude had. I would not trade what I have for what that dude had. Not even 1 second. his evaluation, his answers to those things were wrong. And everybody thinks if I had those things, they were good. But the reality is these things are a distraction from what God called you to do. I see people in my church, Doug, that they're grown up, they're hungry for God, they're on fire for God, and they start building their family, start building their business. And as soon as they get successful, guess what they do? They're on vacation every freaking week, and they don't bring their kids to church anymore, and they wonder why their lives are falling apart. They're like, thanks God for giving me what I need. But that's a distraction of the devil. And so what's the remedy? To realize it's a distraction of the devil, and this can corrupt my heart.
Yeah, when the blessing comes, double down on the obedience.
Yeah,
double down on
exactly.
the tithing, double down on small groups, move from the fourth row to the front row and cheer and scream and clap your hands and grab a tambourine. Or you could have this happen to you, like happened to Jeshurun in Deuteronomy 32. It says he waxed fat and was grown thick. Yeah. He was covered in fatness. That means prosperity. And check this out. Then he forgot God and forsook God who made him and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation.
Yeah. And so, but we always think that some good thing or a blessing is going to make me better. But it depends on the person, right? Some things are going to actually be a harm or a problem for you. Listen to this. This is a French proverb. I love this. Brooks writes this: 4 good mothers beget 4 bad daughters. Great familiarity begets contempt. Truth begets hatred. Virtue begets envy. Riches begets ignorance. So these are very positive things that in the natural heart of a man start to bring out very negative things.
Yeah, and what I've learned with myself and pastoring and talking on radio with tens of thousands, if not millions of people, is the blessings just reveal the state of your heart. And if you see your heart going away from God once the blessings come, then realize you probably weren't as rock solid as you thought you were. And this doesn't mean you just give up everything, quit your job. It could. I mean, it's what Christ said to the rich young ruler. This is keeping you from the kingdom of heaven. You're worshiping this stuff instead of God. You think you're keeping the law. You can't even keep the first article of the Decalogue with no idols before God.
There it is.
You've got your lifestyle as an idol. All you have to do is just, again, realize, man, that your heart's adrift, that this stuff is stupid, it's transitory, it's vapid. At the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, it matters diddly squat, and what really matters is obeying Christ, bringing the gospel of the kingdom to the nations, and being a great believer for not only for God but for your church, for the nation, and your family. And that's what counts. That's what's going to be judged. All this other crap, it's going to go up in smoke at the judgment seat. So use the world, but don't let that world own you. And that's a tight wire act, brother. That's a tight wire act.
Yeah. No, it is difficult. You're right. And I want to read 2 quick things because the goal is to not become distracted. Do not become distracted. Listen to this. King Henry IV asked the Duke of Alva if he had observed the great eclipse of the sun, which had lately happened. No, said the Duke. I have so much to do on earth that I have no leisure to look up to heaven. Ah, that this were not true of most professors in these days. It's a very sad thing to think how their hearts and time are so taken up with earthly things that they have scarcely any leisure to look up to heaven or to look after Christ and the things that belong to their everlasting peace. And then tying that in with this, Sicily is so full of sweet flowers that dogs cannot hunt there. And what do all the sweet contents of this world but make us lose the scent of heaven?
Boom. That's a great place to end it, man. What does a Warrior and Wildmen listener need to do?
Go to warriorsandwildmen.com. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, hit me, buddy.
Go to warriorsandwildmen.com, subscribe, download the podcast, share it with a friend. Write to us, let us know what you think, good, bad, or otherwise. And then if you want to help us push this out there and help some more people, donate to the Warriors and Wildmen War Chest.
Yeah, and don't let this world seduce you, man. It's smoke and mirrors, it's hype, it's a gilded stage. And kingdom stuff lasts forever, man. What we do right now, as RC said, counts forever. And like Ravenhill, Rich, is what you're living for worth Christ dying for? I know I want mine to be. I know you want yours to be, man. Great stuff. Hat tip, Rich, to Thomas Brooks and Precious Remedies Against Satan's Devices.